Welcome, my friends, to the Bob and Brad podcast, produced by Bob and Brad, the two most famous physical therapists on the internet. I am Bob, exactly one half of the Bob and Brad team. And today I'm going to be joined by the knees over toes guy. He's kind of came upon the scene here and has gone wild. His name is Ben Patrick. And if you have knee pain, actually, hip pain, knee pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, he's got a unique system for treating this, and they're all free. They're on his website and they're on his YouTube channel, Knees Over Toes Guy. And it's really groundbreaking stuff. He's really quite a pioneer in the field, and I think you're going to enjoy this so much. I'm starting his exercises myself. I'm going to incorporate him into my life, and we're going to start probably doing some videos on him. You're really going to enjoy this. Welcome to the program, Ben Patrick. So glad to have you
here.
Yeah, it's an honor is ours, as I was saying before. I really, I'm going to first, make a confession here. Brad and I have been don't do knees over toes for probably 5 to 10 years. But you've completely changed my thinking. And also, is it Squat University? They're advocates of that too.
He helps educate on that as well.
Yeah. And there's prehab guys. I think they're for that too. But I really like where a lot of your stuff is headed. And I'm starting it myself before I at least want to have an experiment of one. And see how it works for me, and then we'll see how it goes from there. But I love it. I love the stuff. So why don't we start with it? Your background and some of your mentors, and we could talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I also I grew up and was absolutely psychotic about trying to be a basketball player, and I don't necessarily have the genetics for that. So I was one of those guys who trains way too hard, and so I had chronic knee pain from the time I was about 12 years old. And from 12 to 18, I was never able to shake that knee pain, and had various tears in my knees that started around 14 years old. And by 18, I had a partially artificial kneecap, a meniscus meniscus transplant, and a quad tendon repair. And then I was still, and so I finished high school with no recruitment for basketball, like no college scholarships or anything like that. But I was still trying to make it. So by 19, now I had more tears in my right knee. So now I was thinking I'm going to have more surgery. And throughout all that time, I also did not let my knees over my toes. When your knees go over your toes, that puts more pressure on your knees.
Right.
Now, in my case, trying to be a basketball player, trying to jump and all these things, if you put a basketball game in slow motion, you would see that it's just an unbelievably knees over toes sport. You can even measurably see that Michael Jordan played more knees over toes than anybody at his height. So he was 6'6", and he was able to be really strong with his knees over his toes. So it's something that we clearly want, but there was not a system in place of how to get there. So that light bulb went off when someone who became my mentor, an Olympic trainer named Charles Poliquin, who was, he's really a genius guy. And some of his ideas, because they seem different, maybe he could have been thought of as like more of a radical kind of guy.
Right.
But he was really a genius. And he made this point that the athlete whose knee can go farthest and strongest over the toes without, pain obviously has a more protected knee. So that was the light bulb. I ended up not having to have more surgeries, and my life became basically one, a knees over toes experiment and mission. And by 23 years old, I got my first Division I basketball scholarship. So I quite literally was able to change my body and change my knees. And I mean, when I hit age 20, I had never been able to jump up and grab a basketball rim. Obviously very hard to get recruited for basketball.
Right.
When you don't have any special connections or lineage or, parents who are players, and you can't even grab the rim. If
you don't have any hops, you're not going to get up there.
I was short, no hops, no connections. couldn't grab the rim. That was, when I reached 20. Now I turned 30 and I'm dunking every which way. I have a 42-inch vertical jump.
No, I saw the video.
Yeah. So I was able to change those things by figuring out how to make knees over toes safe, if you will. So as we go today, I can lay it down in exact steps of, okay, what's the safest? What's the second safest? What's you know what I mean? And it's like any kind of technology, it's only going to be as safe and effective as the person is trained and understands it. The same thing that can help you, could harm you if it was done in the wrong way at the wrong dose or whatever.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, you are not advocating to go into pain. Ever. Right.
In fact, that's one of the main things I have to get through to people. Most people with knee pain assume they have to work through some degree of pain.
Right.
Research shows, okay, you can work through a 2 or a 3, but I find better results when we find what you can do with a 0 and then keep doing that, maybe for higher reps than you're used to, maybe with more unorthodox, styles than you're used to. Now you start feeling the muscles, the knee's not hurting and you're feeling the muscles. Now you get a little bit of change. You come back the next session, a little bit more. And then before you know it, you've made a huge jump. So I actually don't, like, personally, I hate working through any degree of pain. So I don't work through a 2. I don't work through a 2 or a 3. I find that level I can do with absolutely no pain. And that's what I really try to help people find.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I didn't know who Charles Poliquin was. And I just ordered one of his books.
Oh, wow.
A lot of his books he must be passed away.
He passed away. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of his books are really expensive, like the old used ones.
Yeah.
But one of them was not. So it's coming today. So I can't wait to read it.
No way.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just like the story you told about the Michael Jordan card. That yeah. I just think that that tells about your character and your drive, and
that's my personality. I have no idea why, I was like that, but I mean, I remember telling my friend at 4 years old, like, oh yeah, sorry, like I can't go to the toy store with you today. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we both did our chores or whatever. Like, no, I'm not spending a dime until I save up $1,000 for a Michael Jordan rookie card. This is what I did at 4. And by the time I was like six and a half. Yeah. But so I went a few years. I wrote cards to every relative, send cash,
Sure.
Don't send toys. I mean, 4, 5, 6 years old.
Focused on a goal.
Yeah. And so Christmas rolls around. I had the 1,000 saved up and my parents bought me a safe for the card. Like, that was my Christmas present, was a safe for it. So, but that's how much I cared about basketball, And so I knew pretty early on that I didn't have the genetics, like my dad hadn't even played high school basketball. I knew it was like a long shot kind of thing. And so I knew I'd have to work harder. But like I said, the methods weren't really there in terms of, here's education on how to protect and bulletproof your knees. So I basically just destroyed my knees at a much earlier age. So I maybe by 18, maybe I had the knees of, I get people reaching out all the time in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s who have had, multiple different surgical alterations, chronic issues, stuff like that. And when I see younger ones doing it, with those same issues like I had, it's usually these kind of underdog characters who are having to work extra hard.
Sure.
So that's why now I try to educate that people can do something about it. Obviously, there's still the whole medical side, but what's interesting is that now I've used my work ethic to bulletproof my knees. So you can use your work ethic to help or harm yourself in pretty much any area of your life.
Exactly.
And so you can actually, through work ethic alone, you can actually earn yourself more protected and less painful knees.
Well, I gotta ask, did you keep the Michael Jordan card? Because I know they're worth a lot.
What's
now.
Really funny? I have a very trusting, personality, and somewhere along the line, having sleepovers at my house or whatever, maybe when I was about 13, it got stolen.
Oh my gosh! Oh,
and I don't know who it was, and I never bothered to point fingers, or I just let it go.
Wow.
I've learned over the years, just have the ability to let it go. I think
That
it's more
speaks to
about
that speaks to your character too.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
more,
it
it's
really
more
does.
about the pursuit. I think the most fun thing for me was saving up and getting it, so.
Sure. I have to make comment too. I'm watching video of you playing basketball. You not only have good leaping ability, you're very quick. It looks like you're very, it looks like it probably improved your quickness too. Am I right?
Yeah. And I appreciate that. And it's the same, like, if you look at, like, I'm not Michael Jordan, but compared to what my genetics were, I made my body more like a Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan, it wasn't just about the dunking. He was able to shift left to right better than, when you build your knees in a balanced way, it's not like you're only going to jump higher. It's just that a 10-foot rim and dunking and statements about that gives people sort of a measurable
exactly.
So that the dunking sells because it's something that we all understand and that we know.
Right. I would have been so all over this when I was young. Oh my gosh, that was the same obsession with me. Basketball.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah. So can you talk about what kind of clients have you seen with your program?
Yeah, so it started out with young athletes with knee pain. So even when I was in college and starting to get results on my own knees, I was helping people every off season, and I was helping local kids. And I had this little troop of kids, kids with knee pain would flock to me and stuff. And that's kind of how I grew up my clientele, pretty much on young basketball players with knee pain. But then, they started talking to other people, and then kind of out of nowhere, I got a shot with an NFL player who was coming off of a full Achilles tear. And so when it comes to addressing the knee, I actually start from the foot and the ankle, basically. So we're not trying to build, like, you're not trying to build rocket knees on weak ankles. Otherwise you could actually be creating shin splints and creating Achilles risk and things like that. So we want to build from the ground up. So I got this chance to work with him. That led to more NFL players. Then I started just getting random people of all ages with knee pain. 80-year-old women, would come in. Yeah. And like, I there's this concept that comes from the Chinese of walking backwards for knee health. Now, I wouldn't call that a powerful method, but I would say that if you add up all those steps backwards, and if someone goes in front of the mirror and takes one step backwards, your knee is over your toe.
Right.
And backward walking has been a good, effective screening process, like for falling and elderly. It's like the most basic level of knees over toes strengthening would be walking backwards. Now, if you could walk backwards, well, then you could probably resist backwards, stepping back onto a 1-inch step, or maybe you could drag 1 pound backwards, right? If you could walk backwards, you could probably drag an empty sled backwards. But with some of these older people, I would actually have to stand on one side of the sled and push it for them until they could do it themselves. And I would have to set up assistance where maybe they couldn't even step up backwards at all, but with assistance from the arms, so they could do it at some level. So that's really, and then I started to notice that with the weakest athletes, they would make way better progress by just finding that perfect pain-free level, no matter how bad it appeared. Sometimes you get a 6'10" basketball player whose knees are weaker than my mom's, like, no joke. Like, they can't even squat. They can't bend their knees all the way down and come back up without excruciating pain without any weight, so.
Right.
So if someone on the street, said, Ben, you have 10 seconds to say anything, you're never going to speak for the rest of your life, what would you say? I would say, understand that knee exercises have 3 levels: loaded, unloaded, and then assisted. You can save millions of knees, help, and then that would be the last thing I ever got to say. So when you understand that you actually can do the things that you want to be able to do, that physiotherapy testing shows, like, that, okay, someone whose ankle can't bend as far, or who's weaker on a step down test, or these things that we know we want to have, even the weakest of the weak really can do them just like somebody else, just at a different level. Just like not everyone has the same degree of bench press strength, but you wouldn't say, oh, this person just can never do a push-up. You know what I mean? And this, like, right. Anyone can get stronger. Anyone can adapt. But for the knees, there definitely was not like a popular system of doing this without a lot of risk,
Yeah, I started on the treadmill, like you've shown. You mentioned using a treadmill without the power on,
Yeah.
and that works really well. And it's nice
Quite a
because
workout.
it balances you too. And
Yep.
My concern with the elderly would be they walk backwards, they might fall while they're walking backwards. So you gotta.
Yeah. They would want to find, you'll often find places out, nature walks or different places where there's a nice railing.
Oh, sure.
So you'd have a railing. But yeah, but like you're saying, it's, society's not really set up for this kind of stuff. Gyms aren't set up for it. So that's why I'm still a busy guy. I'm trying to put, I'm trying to help put all these things in place, to make these things common knowledge so that people, it's each year that risk is going to be coming down as the education comes up on it.
Well, you've done that because you have all the information on videos, correct, that are free to everybody.
Yep.
Now, who is the person that should maybe sign up for your program? You have the ATG, the athletic.
Yeah. So I just have one thing. I just have one thing I do, and everything I've, done and found that works and polished is always available in the most, present, up-to-date form online in exact, steps.
Sure.
I would kind of compare it to, really financially, everyone's in a different position. So it's kind of
Right.
like if I didn't teach anything for free and only had, like my concept is kind of like a library. So my goal is to educate for free, but then like an actual like program and coaching. So from day one, I didn't want to deliver anything online because I was so worried about people doing the form right. So I said to do it online, I have to see people's form.
Right.
So I was using like Messenger and stuff and coaching people that way. And then now there's like apps that do this. So me and my team coach thousands of videos a week of people sending their form video so that it would kind of create the same quality form as in person. Now people vary. Some people get the form right without sending in videos. So it's not like you have to.
Sure.
But for a lot of people, and I mean, for myself included, I had to go pay, thousands of dollars
Right.
for people who were doing these different tools to find out that my form was incorrect so if I was messing up the form, how could I honestly just put out, something without form coaching? Now, I definitely go to painstaking efforts to teach the form the best I can, but I just try to cast a big net on it. And really, I think what supports my business is people who would like to get the fullest data on it, and who
Sure.
even some people have been helped by some of the free stuff and they just want to kind of flow back. So there's definitely a karma thing that I've learned that I can try to just educate as much as I can for free, help people as much as I can, and it'll end up coming back to me,
That's the same philosophy we have.
Yeah.
My goal, my gravestone, he helped as many people as he could help. And
that's the measurement of a life, in my opinion.
It is, me too. And so would your trainers also help them maybe guide them in the progression of it? Like tell them, you maybe should back off a little bit or
Exactly.
is it mostly form or
no, it's thousands of messages and thousands of videos. It's pretty balanced. That having someone to communicate with can make a massive difference.
It really can.
And again, people really vary. Some people may even work better without that. Whereas for others, they may really not have much of a chance without someone to guide them,
Right.
So,
right.
So as long as it's there and it's affordable, there's not like a monthly. So it's like if a kid was 12, 13 years old and could only save up, my first month is half off, and that's intentional.
Sure.
So if someone wants to be the people who are really lifetime members, I feel like that's actually what supports the business financially.
Sure.
Whereas so someone just staying on and just supporting the business, that's huge for making us able to do our jobs. At the bottom end of that, if the kid has to mow some lawns and can save up for 1 month, then he could just, for $25 could change the rest of his life. So I can go to sleep well at night like that, we're doing well. So I guess I'm not constantly churning to think like, how do I extract,
Right.
even more profit? I feel like I feel like life has to be balanced. And if you get a little too obsessed on the money, I don't know. I feel like it might even go the other way,
Exactly.
So,
Well, I'm going to mention your website right now, if that's okay. So it's
I appreciate that.
www, and it's also going to be in the, comments below and such. ATG. And so that, again, that's Athletic Truth Group.
Yeah, that's what I created. My business is Athletic Truth Group, and it's atgonlinecoaching.com.
Okay, got it. And then you have the YouTube channel, of course, the Knees Over Toes guy.
And Knees Over Toes guy.
And you have Instagram.
Yep, and a TikTok, which, funny enough, like a 55-year-old reached out today with a massive win on his knees off TikTok.
Oh my gosh!
Like,
we started on TikTok too, believe it or not. And I mean, you wouldn't think we're old people. I am, but we're at 55,000 people are following us. I mean, that's strange. But
if you're gonna make a video for YouTube, which I think YouTube is the smartest place because people are interested in being educated. So like on TikTok, I get the wildest comments, that are not always tasteful.
Oh, do you?
TikTok, you have probably the highest concentration of 13, 14-year-olds
who
just learned about cuss words and a bunch of other stuff.
Sure.
But if you're going to make a piece of content for YouTube, for anyone out there who's trying to grow social media, and I don't have the level of followers that you do, but I've been able to grow pretty quickly. And if you're going to take the time to make a helpful piece of content for YouTube, you probably could channel that same piece of content and make a version for Instagram and for TikTok. And that could really help take a lot of the stress off, I think, for someone.
Exactly. Good point. Now, you have some products for sale too, or not?
No, I don't sell any products.
Don't sell any products. I'm sorry.
Nope. And I actually insist on not making a dime off any product. So I don't have any discount codes that I get zilch from anywhere, just my online coaching. But I promote products of people who are making this stuff that makes it easier to do my system. But that way it keeps it like I can just promote what I think is going to help people. Exactly. So I have, I can send you my equipment list. So I have a list with all the links of everything I use. It's been read over 600,000 times.
Wow.
Who knows what I could have made on that? But honestly, karma wise, probably people maybe who wouldn't have tried it, maybe they got a piece of equipment and were like, oh, wow, this is actually working. Maybe I'll do the program. So who knows? Things work out when you help people. It ends up going okay. So
my admiration for you is growing by the minute here, Ben. So
we're probably just pretty, we've probably come to pretty similar conclusions.